This is the injury report presented by NYU Langone Health. The Mets' pitching depth took a hit on Wednesday with right-handed pitcher Christian Scott headed for UCL surgery. He's all set to undergo a combined Tommy John ligament replacement along with an internal brace, and I have zero clue what that means. So I'm bringing in Dr. Julia Iafrate, sports medicine physician over at NYU Langone Health, and she's going to break down why this hybrid procedure could be a good thing for Scott and the Mets. Doc, thank you for jumping in and saving me because Tommy John, Sean John, Lil John, there's just a lot of Johns going on right now. How you feeling today, Doc?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. Thank you for asking. Good to see you again, Brendan. Yeah, let's talk about Tommy John and like what.
Okay.
And what happened to Christian?
All right. So here's the what. Tommy John surgery with an internal brace. What does that mean? And how does that differ from traditional Tommy John?
Great question. So basically, a regular Tommy John surgery basically involves using a tendon from somewhere else in the body and creating a ligament out of it. So a ligament attaches one bone to another bone to help stabilize and give us like some support in terms of the joint. And when we tear our ulnar collateral ligament, which is that ligament that helps with that throwing motion, we can use usually the palmaris longus, which is this tendon that we have in our body that actually is not very useful to us. Most people have one, not everyone. So in the people that have one, we'll usually do what's called an autograft, which is where it uses it from somebody's own body. If you don't have one for some reason, or we can't harvest it, then we'll use what's called an allograft, which is from a cadaver. That's the normal Tommy John surgery. Okay. That tendon gets used to make some sort of a ligament, gets tacked down. With an internal brace, all that's getting added is this extra structural support that's made out of this like collagen-coated fiber tape, basically, that gets anchored down into the tendon that's now become a ligament and gets tensioned into that space. And the point of that is to allow for a rapid return to rehab and sport by taking some of the stress off the repaired ligament itself.
I have zero clue what you were just talking about just now, Doc, but it sounded so fascinating. Well, you lost me at palmaris longus like that. That was cool. And you said it's useless. So the next time when I tell someone like, oh, you're a palmaris longus, that's my way of calling them useless. Thank you. That's what I took from that. I need to pay attention more. All right. So we know the recovery timeline for Tommy John. That's long enough. But how long does the internal brace affect the timeline? Do you think we could see him back sooner?
Yeah, so the cool thing about the brace is it actually usually shortens the timeline a little bit, sometimes by half. So instead of a year like we normally expect with Tommy John surgery, we might see recovery in terms of like 6 to 7 months after the procedure in some of these athletes.
All right, so what's that recovery like in terms of rehab? What's the rehab going to be like for him?
Yeah, so standard rehab with the internal brace would basically involve having him in a splint for probably about 5 days and then starting to work on aggressive range of motion and strengthening with a brace on for about 6 weeks. And then by the time they hit that 10-week period, they can actually start to initiate a throwing program with a goal of return to sport by 6 months, like I said. This is great contrast to normal Tommy John post-op rehab, because that throwing program in regular Tommy John surgery is actually not even initiated until 4.5 to 5 months later. So we are cutting his time down massively with this procedure.
So do you think this new type of hybrid surgery could be the norm for the future?
I think it's totally feasible. I mean, we're liking what we're seeing so far. I think it's potentially a great idea, especially in our young, high-level professional or near professional athletes. No surgery is going to be as good as taking care of the natural ligament itself, right? The native ligament. So I still think that a great training program is so important for these athletes. Time is money. We don't want them out anytime if we can help it, right? But, if they can get a good strengthening program in, good and proper throwing biomechanics and making sure that's going to be paramount for them, then, hopefully we can avoid surgery in the first place. But if we can't avoid it, this is looking good.
Well, how long have they been doing this hybrid surgery? Is it something that's new to sports?
New. Yeah, it's pretty new. It's probably been, I think we've seen it happening a lot more frequently, maybe in the last 5 years only. We really haven't been using it much before. It was very recently kind of created as this kind of helper surgery to the normal Tommy John. So the other thing is making sure that you have a surgeon who's comfortable with performing it, right? Because not every surgeon knows how to do this because it's so new. And so if it's something that, somebody is interested in doing, they certainly want to make sure that they have a surgeon who is well versed in internal brace or the hybrid procedure.
Well, we continue to see the game, just the advancements within the game, the technology, and now the surgeries, the rehab, and the recovery. So thank you, Doc. And I can't wait to use that palmaris longus thing on somebody. I'll let you know how that goes.
Please do.